Hey everyone. So, Richard Dawkins obviously is a well known atheist. He has actually said that he doesn't like the fact that that is the only thing he's known for, being an atheist. He's mentioned that he has many other interests. But let's face it, if not for the militant atheism and the constant going on about how he doesn't believe there's a God, he wouldn't really be known. So this has essentially been his claim to fame. So later on, trying to tell people, well, actually, there are many other things that he's interested in. This is just one little thing, but that's not what makes him. Is kind of like him trying to ignore the reason we even know who he is. So there was a documentary film made a few years back now. It starred Ben Stein, who's also been in a number of movies. It was called Expelled. And it was basically a documentary trying to show that academia has worked hard to eliminate the very thought, the very possibility that the universe may have been created by intelligent design, that there could be a God who is the author of the universe. They don't like that. They don't want it to even be considered a theory. And so in this documentary, where Ben Stein talked to a lot of different people. He talked to people who did believe in God. He talked to people who did believe that indeed there is this push to eliminate God from people's minds. But he also spoke to people who are atheists, who didn't believe in God and didn't believe in this idea that academia was trying to banish God. Or if they did believe that academia was trying to banish God, then they felt it was being done with good reason. And towards the end of this documentary, he does manage to sit down with Richard Dawkins. Now, before I show you the clip of something I found was very odd for Richard Dawkins to say, I want to just show you this short clip here.
So you believe it's liberating to tell people that there is no God?
I think a lot of people, when they give up God, feel a great sense of release and freedom.
I can understand someone struggling to believe in God. I can understand someone saying, you know what, they've thought about it a lot and they just can't seem to bring themselves to believe in God. But I've never understood someone saying that they would prefer there not to be a God. If you don't want there to be a God, then in a roundabout way you're also saying you don't want there to be justice. Now, of course, atheists will say, what? What are you talking about? Just because you don't want there to be a God doesn't mean you don't want justice. Well, actually, in a way it is saying that because you know there's never going to be justice in this world. People attempt to bring about justice. We obviously have law courts, etc., prisons. But you know it's never going to be brought about in this world. There's never going to be a time when there's complete justice because there's way too much corruption. And powerful bad people will do bad things and they'll get away with it. And you know that's going to happen. Unless, of course, there's a God who brings about ultimate justice at the end of your life. But if you shun God, if you banish God and say you don't want there to be a God, that's never going to happen. I've also never understood why people wouldn't want the possibility of living in paradise in eternity. Sometimes people respond with this strange argument saying, well, it would be boring to live eternally in paradise. You'd rather die. You'd rather live your life and die. What if your life hasn't been that great? Then you'll live your short, very uneventful, boring life, perhaps with all kinds of tragedies, and then die. Is that what you prefer? It's a strange way to look at things. Again, if there's no God and you have children and one of your children runs out into the road and gets hit by a car and dies, that's it. There's no God. You don't want there to be a God. You don't want there to be an afterlife. So that's it. Your child is dead. It's gone. You'll never see them again. If there's a God, it isn't the end. Your child may have died physically, but they're not actually dead because there's another realm that they are alive in. And when you die, you may well see them again. For some reason, that is something people do not want when they don't want there to be a God. They would rather it just be the end when you die. Your child has just died. Oh, well, that's it. You'll never see them again. Same thing with people who have very difficult lives with lots of suffering, sickness. Do you think they feel liberated with this thought that there's no God? Somebody whose life here is so horrible, they can hardly do anything because they're so sick. You think it's liberating for them to believe there's no God? Or Or do you think they'd rather believe there is a God and when they die there's something better waiting for them? So again, I do stress it's a very odd thing when people say it's liberating that there's no God. The only way I could think of it being liberating that there's no God is for people who want to be promiscuous. They want to do things that they know are kind of wrong deep down in their hearts, but they want to do them. Usually it's some kind of sexual promiscuity, sleeping around, etc. Generally, the main faiths of the world talk about that being wrong, sexual promiscuity. And if there's a God, that kind of thing could be frowned upon. But if there's no God, you can do it. It's fine. It's not illegal. You can be sexually promiscuous. You can have a different partner every few days. You can even cheat on your spouse, and that isn't against the law. You can be together with whoever you want to be. You can marry whoever you want to. I think that is one of the main reasons people prefer to believe there's no God and feel liberated that there's no God, because they can then live that kind of lifestyle and not feel guilty, not feel that there's a God who's actually going to judge them for it later. Anyway, moving on from that, this next clip is what this video is about. So it's Richard Dawkins, who obviously thinks the idea of God is absurd, but he gives a theory on how there still could have been intelligent design on planet Earth, and it's incredible to actually listen to him say this, but he does say it, and here is the clip of him saying it.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
What was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right, how did that happen?
I told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anybody.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very high level of technology and designed a form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility. And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of designer.
So I don't know about you, but that was bizarre to me, that Richard Dawkins thinks that somewhere in the universe there could have been life that evolved. Of course, it wasn't created because he doesn't like that idea. And that life evolved to an extremely intelligent level, far greater intelligence than here on this earth. And then, obviously with this great intelligence, it developed some kind of technology where it could travel through the universe at a much greater speed than we can travel through the universe. And so it traveled through the universe, got to planet Earth, and then somehow planted its seed here to kickstart life, somewhat in the image of the life it had wherever it had life in the universe. And that's how life started here. And life here has the signature of these other superior alien beings who we don't know if they exist anymore or where they are, but they could well have started life here. That is somehow less preposterous than believing that there is a God outside time and space who created the universe. It's amazing that he even said it. I don't know if he still believes it now. Obviously, he wasn't saying this is absolutely what happened, but he was saying this is something that's very possible. To him, obviously much more possible than there being a God. We have no evidence of life anywhere else in this universe. Obviously, we haven't really examined much of the universe, but there's zero evidence of any life anywhere else. And yet, despite there being zero evidence of any life anywhere else in the universe, this scientist believes that there could well have been life somewhere else. There's no proof of it, but it's a reasonable theory to have, that not only there was life somewhere else, but that life then came to this planet and sort of left its seed, as he put it, for life to begin here. I look forward to reading some of your comments, folks. I'm sure there will also be plenty of atheists in my comments, as well as Richard Dawkins fanboys. Feel free to leave your comments below. I'm not going to delete them. Thanks very much for watching the video. Have a blessed day.